The following is a special presentation of the PDF Sports Network.
You know I'm right. Nick Durst here with Joe Calabrese. And Joe, our guest today, joins a very elite club as a returning guest to the You Know I'm Right program.
Yes, he is now in the very elite two-time appearance club with some notable others, including our guy Tim Kirkjian, our Sports Center anchor Arda Ocal, who's a fellow hockey guy. But we're very happy to have him back on the show. Currently, you can find him hosting Bettor's Eye with Matt Stryker on MLB Network. He's still one of the hosts for that of the pregame show, the top show on CBS Sports Network during the NFL season. You can see him doing some hosting stuff with SportsGrid as well. So we'll get to talk about that with him. And ladies and gentlemen, Keith Irizarry is back with us. Keith, welcome back to the show.
What's up, boys? So is this like Saturday Night Live? Like, do I get a special jacket now? Like, wasn't that the Steve Martin thing? It was like the 5-time club. So I'm in the 2-time club. Where's my jacket? Come on. I need a smoker's jacket, guys.
Well, Keith, we know it's summer. We know you don't really wear jackets too much.
That's a good point.
We're surprised you're wearing a shirt right now. So,
I mean, there were many things that went into the contemplation of what my wardrobe would be today, but I decided to keep it classy. I went with a polo for you guys.
And very professional. We see the little mic over there, just like a normal, how you would be set up in the studio at the network.
IB also. All right.
Yes,
yeah.
I like that. Very, very professional looking. Thank you for doing that for us.
Hey, no
Makes
problem.
us feel really great.
So, I mean, Keith, the last time you were on with us, the main top talk come out of this, all the buzz on social media, was your amazing Christopher Mad Dog Russo impersonation. So I got to ask you, like, how did you perfect that? And how does it make you feel knowing that most people think you sound just like him?
I did appreciate that. I mean, listen, like I grew up in New York. I grew up listening to sports talk radio. Mike and the Mad Dog were what you listened to. And I could just tell you that, and I'm not going to do the impression right now because I don't know if Doggy loves it right now. I don't know if he loves it. But with that being said, him and I have become, friendly. We work together. He's been on Bettor's Eye with me and Matt Stryker a few times. And the first time I ever worked with him, I don't remember if I told you guys this story. The first time I ever worked with him, I was at SiriusXM. I was an update anchor. I went in to do the updates for Mad Dog Sports Radio. At the time, I think it was actually just Mad Dog Radio, not Mad Dog Sports Radio. And I sit down, I do my update. And as I'm ready to leave the studio, he asks me a question off the air, just like, where are you from? Right. So I said, I'm from Long Island. And he's like, what? And then he goes, what are you doing? What do you do? So we continue to talk a little bit, and turns out he loves high school sports the same way I, at the time, was covering a lot of high school sports for MSG Varsity. We ended up doing a whole set. He kept me on the air for Mad Dog Sports Radio for like another 10 minutes. We talked about like Greenwich high school basketball, like Norwalk, like Staples, Darien, like all these Connecticut. National radio probably hated the segment, but it was fun. It was like my foray into knowing him, and the 11-year-old Keith was like, oh my God, I can't believe like Mad Dog wants to speak to me. So that was one of my, like, I won't say I made it moments, but like I mattered moments, if that makes sense.
Welcome to the show.
Right? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, welcome to the National.
And he's always great on Bettor's Eye. You can tell he really enjoys being there. And we'll talk about Bettor's Eye momentarily. But his former partner, Mike Francesa, now he's following in your footsteps and going into the betting world with his new betting podcast. Do you have a Francesa impersonation at all?
I'm from New York. From New York. It's as simple as that. No, I don't really have as much on Francesa. I don't really have much of a, like, I think I've met him maybe once or twice. Nice enough guy. We've chatted a little bit, but I don't have much of a relationship with him. But yeah, that would be my, you're going to call me with that? I'm from New York. You want to trade Kristaps Porzingis for what? Like something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, the Long Island accent there, fantastic. So before we get into anything else here, I got some inside information here, and I was told I need to ask you about the message in your office on the whiteboard from Bill Ripken.
So, I mean, apparently there are some people that are impressed with my workout habits. Let's just put it that way, okay?
All right.
But who's giving you this inside? I know who's giving you this inside news. My office mate, apparently. Yeah, there was a whiteboard. I guess I hadn't been in the office in like a month. In legs. I mean, listen, I can jump, I can run, and I like to lift heavy for upper body.
So I got 2 follow-up questions for you. Number 1, do you use the gym at the network, or do you have your own gym set up, or do you have something closer to home?
I have used the gym at MLB when, like, on long days where if I was doing a show at like 11 o'clock in the morning and I had to stay and then I wasn't going to do something else until like 8 o'clock at night. Yeah, I'll get a meal. I'll go there. Beautiful gym, really nice facility. I was a big CrossFitter. I was at CrossFit gyms since, I would say, for about 7-8 years. Once the pandemic hit, I stopped going there. And now actually I'm in my home studio right now. On the other side of this camera is my entire gym. So my kids lost my basement. They no longer have a basement to use. I have a television studio. I have wardrobe and everything over on this side. And then I have a full gym there, bumper plates, pull-up bar, heavy bag for boxing, everything you could want for abs. I got a ski erg. I got a whiteboard to be able to write out my own workouts. And then my wife surprised me for Christmas, and I even have a name of my gym now too. She made a big template or whatever you want to call it.
And you do have a beautiful family.
Thank you.
We follow each other on Instagram, so I get to see that a little bit. So, second question to follow up. I need your office power rankings. Could you give me a top 3, a top 4, a top 5?
There's only 4 in his office, including him. So it's got to be 1, 2,
4?
3.
Okay.
So in my office is Adnan, LG, Lauren Gardner, and then Matt Stryker when he's in gets the other desk.
Top tier office, elite office, and MLB Network. And the biggest office too. Nobody's got a bigger office than you.
It's true. You're gonna make me give an order of 3 of my favorite people that I've ever worked with. So you're essentially asking me, because I have 2 sons, right? You're telling me, who do you like better, your 11-year-old or your 7-year-old? So I will not answer this question. So that interview is over. Good, no, I'm just kidding. I love them all. Each has an amazing reason as to why they're my favorites. Adnan and I really feel like we clicked right away. He's got a large family. We talk about our children a lot with each other. Just an amazing human being, really talented. And for as talented as he is, insanely humble. Like, for the amount of big things that he has done in this industry, he could be the biggest jerk if he wanted to. He is not. Like, genuine human being. Lauren Gardner and I got hired at the exact same time at the network 3 years ago. Adnan too, by the way. And LG is...
Congrats, 3-year anniversary for
yeah, it actually was like 3 days ago. Yeah, 3 days ago was the 3 year. Yeah. LG, on the list of like hardworking human beings, I'm not sure there's a harder working person than her that I've met in this industry. And then she's just cool, like nice and down to earth and crazy talented and funny, like low key, hilarious sense of humor and can tell a joke. And then Matt Stryker and I, like, we just met obviously a year ago, did Bettor's Eye. And for the first portion of Bettor's Eye, he was at a home studio. I was in Secaucus. So you would think that there would be some sort of like disconnect there. I feel like he could be my brother. Like, it was one of those instant connections where it was seamless. Here's a story for you that people don't know. When we were going to be launching Bettor's Eye, I was hired for it. It looked like he was going to be my co-host. I know there was another person that was in the running, right? they decided they wanted to have me do a reading with him. And it was just the way they worded it was that it was just going to be like, oh, you guys will meet each other. You'll talk a little bit. We want to check the connection, right? They ended up having us do a 10-minute demo, essentially off the cuff. When I tell you it felt like I had worked with him for 15 years, it was the most seamless, flawless demo I think I've ever done. And needless to say, I was told a minute or two later when we signed off. So he's going to be your co-host. You're good with that? And I said, yes, let's go. I love that guy. He's amazing.
That's great. Instant chemistry. Always good to hear. So definitely, Bettor's Eye coming back. We're very excited about that. But first I want to talk about, because we'll pick up where we left off last time. We're going in chronological order here. We got to start with where you are right now, your home studio for Betting Above the Rim. So how did that opportunity come about for you? And obviously, it's a radio show and then getting simulcast at MSG, which is pretty cool. And you started with that MSG varsity, so kind of a full circle thing there. So how did that whole show come about for you?
So I guess when SportsGrid was FNTSY, it was the Fantasy Sports Network. So let's actually go all the way back. So NBC Sports Radio, I was hosting Calling the Shots with Keith Irizarry. It was the drive time show. NBC Sports Radio cut all of their programming except for updates. So obviously my show went bye-bye. I was still doing tops. I was doing other things, and I was helping out with some updates. And I got a call from Mike Cardano, Greg Sussman over at FNTSY. They knew who I was. They said, why don't you come in? Let's just talk. So they ended up giving me a show. It was a blast. I ended up having to leave them when I got hired at MLB NHL Network. I just didn't have the time to do everything. It just didn't work. They were totally understanding of it. Said, if we can ever get you for fill-in work, we will, right? Fast forward to the pandemic. I get a call. Hey, so Pharrell is not going to be able to do his show this week, and this week in the afternoon. Any chance you want to do it? I said, sure, let's do it. I have some of the at-home equipment. We tested all the equipment, knocked it out of the park. And then I guess that would lead me into like January. And then they were like, hey, so we're thinking about doing this basketball show. You interested? I said, yeah, let's go. And I started doing it. Last year I was doing Saturday and Sunday. This year I'm only doing Saturday. I just don't have the time in my schedule to be able to do. I essentially would be working 9 days a week, and it's a 7-day week. So I can't do that. And Joe, you said it, like, you see my family. I'm very big into my family. I want to be able to be there for all my kids' sports that I can be.
Kids are playing at the Garden. I mean, unbelievable.
Dude, how cool is, do you want to know how that got set up? Am I allowed to? It wasn't me. I know a lot of people are like, oh, you set that up, right? No. We have a kid on our team that their father is a head coach of a prominent basketball team. I'm just going to say that.
Oh, wow.
I'm not going to say who. I'm just going to say that. So he set it up. I mean, like, how cool. So my 11-year-old son, Austin, plays pretty high-level AAU basketball. But he wanted to play on the CYO travel team because then he gets to play with the kids in our town, his buddies, right? So we go lose the first game of the year. Bad game plan, missed a lot of free throws, whatever. Run the rest of the season, nine straight wins, dominate everybody, like run it. With a top seed in the tournament. The dad helps us get it at MSG. It was awesome. They get to play there. Even my little guy, all the younger brothers and younger sisters that were there, got to be on the court and be the coach of the team, which was cool. And this past Sunday, right? Sunday, we just knocked off the other top team, and St. Rose in Massapequa, St. Rose of Lima, champions.
Wow. I mean, that's something that your kids will never, all the kids will never forget, that they played on the court at Madison Square Garden. I mean,
It's sick.
Unbelievable. My friend, one of my groomsmen, he played hockey, his team back in the day at MSG. He gave up 5 goals in 30 seconds, broke his stick on the net, and it was an all-time moment at MSG. We always bust his chops for that.
That's good. Yeah, you Nick, when was your wedding? Your wedding was recent, wasn't it?
2019, December 7th.
Oh, it was before. Okay, all right.
So right before the pandemic, got lucky there. Before the world changed. But Joe was there. He enjoyed the party.
So here's the question. This question goes to Joe, not to you, Nick.
Oh boy.
Nick is the food guy, right? Was the food amazing at Nick's wedding?
It was. So we went to the Venetian in Jersey, and it's kind of more of like a upscale kind of catering hall, and everything was amazing. The cocktail hour was amazing. The food was amazing there. He had he had a special guest appearance at his wedding, which was really, really great too. But the way it was all put together.
Oh, who the guest was?
Mr. Scott Rogowski.
Rags!
That's tribute. My wife loved it, and all of her college friends they all loved HQ trivia. They were thrilled.
Yeah,
Rags is the man.
He recorded a really nice, pleasant, quick message that they showed. It was like kind of halfway through, kind of after the first wave, the first dancing. Was it? I think it was right after dinner, right? I guess when they were right before, I guess the montage happened. I don't remember the order of everything, but yeah. So Scott made a really nice special appearance because he couldn't be there in person.
Amazing.
But the food was good. The food was everyone
excellent.
loved the food.
Yeah, I say, let's just, because this is what you guys do, right? We deviate and just have some fun. I think when you talk about a wedding, the two most important things was the food good? Like, are people going to discuss the food? And was the music good? Whether it was DJ or band. I know for our wedding, we had a band. I got married on Long Island. You guys know how Long Island weddings are. They feed you and feed you and feed you and feed you. I mean, I had a trick, by the way. I spoke to the maitre d' and I said, the cocktail hour, everyone keeps saying I'm going to have to walk around and talk to everybody and I'm not going to get to eat any of this food. She's like, you're right. I'm like, all right, is there any chance that every time you guys bring out food, you can come to me first? So they had a specific person come to me first every single time. I'm eating lamb chops. Well, it's great to see you, Uncle Rocky. That's, I'm eating. And my wife didn't eat while she was doing it because, she's got the beautiful gown on and you got to be all ladylike. Me, I'm like, I got barbecue sauce on my face. I'm good to go.
Yeah, food is key. We had a great cocktail hour. Then this hall was pretty cool that for the dessert hour, the Venetian hour, a whole wall opens up that you don't even know. And that was exciting. And the music was great. And no complaint. Everyone still talks about the food. So it's definitely crucial.
Nick, another question that I've always wanted to ask you, I never gotten a chance to, is this. You post all the food you eat, and all of it is very, dare I say, not healthy, okay? Everything you post is like asking for high cholesterol, potential weight gain, all that kind of stuff. And you're a thin guy. So is this a workout thing, or is this like, genetics right now that you might have to fight at some point? Because you're still pretty skinny.
Well, you'll be happy to know, as my wife was, that, my blood work was excellent, blood pressure perfect. But, it's an optical illusion on my Instagram because Monday through Friday or Monday through Saturday, I'm not eating any carbs. So it's basically the cheat days. And, you go big or you go home. But since you're already home for the pandemic, you're going to go big while you're home. And they just post it. I intermittent fast every day. Don't eat breakfast. So, one month I did a post of the vegetables I ate for the month, and people were furious at me. But it's a healthy balance. But
yeah, I actually almost unfollowed you for that. I almost unfollowed you. I contemplated. I'm like, nah,
out where I went to Las Vegas recently, filmed a bunch of content and some buffets and stuff. So we'll see. Maybe there's a future there for me in the food reviewer business. But I know I make a lot of people hungry on Instagram. Yeah. That's for sure.
I agree. Yeah. You put good stuff up there.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And with you now, you are gearing up here for the season of baseball. And I know that Say Hey Cafe tends to give some freebies away around opening day. So do you indulge in any of that stuff? Do you stay away from the cafe? Do you bring your own chicken and broccoli every day? What are you having before the show?
So it all varies as to when I need to be in there, right? Like if I'm doing just Bettor's Eye and it's 6 to 6:30, then I'm going to eat a protein bar on the car ride in. I'm going to do the show, and I'm going to get home, and then I'll eat dinner at home with, if my wife waited for me. Usually her and the kids will eat before, and then I'll just eat it, like 8:30 at night, because I know everyone says, oh, you can't eat too late. One, I don't intermittent fast. I eat whenever I want to eat. But also, I'm going to be up late. Like, I know that if I eat dinner at 8:30, I'm going to stay up for the West Coast games anyway. So more than likely, I'm not going to sleep till 1 o'clock in the morning. So I have enough time to burn all that off, and I can hop on. We have the Peloton now also, so I could hop on the Peloton and not even do like a program. I could just be riding and watching a game.
Nice. Now, Joe, he of course works with you, but he hasn't been in the office in a few years. I know our commute here when I worked there as well from Staten Island, not the greatest, but when we're driving it off time, it's okay. I can't imagine the drive from Long Island to Secaucus. Tell me how long that takes and what route you're taking.
So there are a couple of different routes. I can go through Manhattan. I can go through the Bronx. I can go some of the back ways. If I don't hit traffic, like if it's off hours, I could make it home in like an hour and 15, hour and 20. The worst ever was almost 4 hours. Took me 3 hours and 45 minutes. And my call time to be in was at 4, and I didn't get in till 5:15 for a 6 o'clock show. Luckily, everything was fine. Typically, I budget myself to give myself 2 hours to drive there. And what people always ask me next is, what are you listening to in the car? So yes, I do listen to sports. And if I'm covering MLB that day, like I will put on MLB Network radio and listen to that, or I'll listen to NHL radio. But a lot of times I avoid sports at all, like totally. And I'll put on like Netflix as a joke radio, and I listen to comedy specials, and I just want to laugh. Like I've said, how many times I'm stuck on the Cross Bronx and people see me like giggling and they're like, what is up with that crazy guy? And it's because I'm, listening to, I don't know, Hassan Minaj, comedy special, or Taylor Tomlinson. The new special is pretty good. I like her new special. It's pretty good.
I have a suggestion of a show you can listen to. I'm right. Fantastic. Educational podcast. Listen to yourself here. I mean,
I think you're right.
There you go. Absolutely. Now you mentioned this earlier, but Bettor's Eye, it came about right before the big burst of sports betting all over the place. So how did that opportunity come about for you? And how excited were you when you heard, okay, wow, MLB is actually going to go all in here with betting?
I got a call from one of the bosses, actually a text from one of the bosses. Hey, we're thinking of launching this show. There was no name at the time. And we're thinking of you as potentially the host of it. Are you interested? It was literally a text as simple as that. And I wrote, that sounds awesome. Yes, I'm interested. So we spoke that night. We hashed out all of it. And essentially there just had to be an agreement with the league, the network. There were a bunch of agreement things that had to happen, but it always kind of seemed like I was going to be the host of it. At least it appeared that. And then that was, we launched April 1st was the first show last year. So I want to say that was the end of January, the first text message. The agreed upon thing was probably like end of February. Like I kind of knew, but wasn't allowed to tell anybody. And then, we went full force, and it's definitely cool to say that Stryker and I were the first ever voices of betting for baseball. I know since then, now there are other betting shows that involve baseball, and there are other voices at MLB Network that also talk gambling, and they do an amazing job with it also. But I guess I've got a couple of firsts, right? MSU Varsity, I was the first ever play-by-play announcer on the network. I did the first ever game. It was Del Barton in New Jersey versus St. Anthony's football. Myself, Steve Levy, who was Aaron Rodgers' backup quarterback at Cal, and on sideline was Tara Petrolino, who went on to do some ESPN stuff. She now lives overseas. And Steve Gelbs was the other sideline reporter. We were the first 4 voices ever on the network, and the host of the studio show was Jared Greenberg.
Big time crew right there.
Yeah, it's a huge crew. Keep mentioning Stryker. I have to ask quick, how does it feel working with and getting to know 2 former WWE announcers on a really, really close basis because
Keith's going to be the next wrestling announcer in that office.
Absolutely. And as we know, our guy Adnan had a brief cup of coffee last year as the play-by-play voice of Monday Night Raw. So how does it feel working with two former WWE announcers? And are there times where we pick their brains for some inside WWE knowledge?
No, we don't talk WWE. It's really odd. We don't. We kind of just, like, again, when it's Adnan and I, a lot of times we're just talking about our families and we're talking about like regular life. And with Stryker, like, sure, there have been times where like, oh, like this guy, were you close with him or this, whatever. Not so much. So you want a third WWE thing? I'll throw it out there for you. I'll go back to Sirius XM. It wasn't called the Morning Men at the time. When Steve Phillips was on with Evan Cohen and Babchick was the producer at the time. I'm blanking on the name of the show at the time, but I was an update anchor. And they decided to start talking about who I looked like, and they kept coming back to Jonathan Coachman. So there's a little WWE, WWF,
Yeah, I see it a bit. I mean, we gotta get the triplets on. We gotta get you. We gotta get Brandon Tierney. We gotta get Robert Saleh on, and we gotta do a mega.
Keith, you got to be Robert Saleh quite a bit this year on Tops.
Yo, can I tell you, like, that was probably like my favorite moment. I think either 2 or 3 times this year. I know we did a Thanksgiving one. We did one earlier in the year, and I got to sit down with Nate Burleson. We did Dr. Nate. Oh my God, my social media blew up on that one. People were loving me as Robert Saleh.
Yeah, that was great.
They thought it was really him. They thought he was in studio before the game.
Yeah, I think there's a little more of a close resemblance between you and Saleh as opposed to Tierney, but obviously the resemblance there between the three of you is just oddly strong. So
yeah, BT's the best. We always joke that there were times where you'd like fast forward, you DVR the episode, you fast forward because you just want to like get to one of your parts to see what you did. And like he said, it happened to him a bunch, and it definitely happened to me a bunch, where we'd stop on the other person, like, oh, nope, that's BT. Nope, okay, keep going. Yeah.
So I have to ask this. You've done a bunch of different betting shows for different sports, right? And that seems to be the trajectory and the direction where we're going now, and people are seemingly embracing that now. But for you personally, what do you think is the easiest sport to bet on? Because it's definitely not hockey. Because I've been working in hockey for almost 6 years, and I can tell you, I have no clue how to bet on the sport. So you can eliminate that, but
yeah, hockey's very difficult because when you think you know, you don't. I think that's yeah. I would say that baseball is the easiest one to get correct, not the easiest for you to make a lot of money. Okay, because I think it's real. Like total base props became one of my favorites to give out on Bettor's Eye. And oh, by the way, like I don't gamble on baseball. I'm not allowed to gamble on baseball. It's part of the agreement. So I'm giving out giving you everything out. I'm Stryker and I are crunching numbers. We're meteorologists for you for betting. But I would say because you can get plus 105 on Trey Turner over 1.5 total bases. And that happens a lot. You can get minus 105, which is essentially even money on Vladimir Guerrero, total bases, over 1.5. And if people out there, like if you don't know what that means, a total base is single is 1 base, a double is 2 bases, triple, blah, blah, blah. Stolen bases don't count. Walks don't count either. And the walks part kills me because you're gaining a base. Someone needs to change that rule. If you walk, that is gaining a base. Yeah. Anyway.
Especially an intentional walk.
Yeah. So I would say order would go baseball, football, basketball, hockey. And I know a lot of people love betting soccer. A lot of people find like this niche angle of betting soccer. I have not gotten into that yet.
How does your research vary between specifically betting above the rim and Bettor's Eye? And where are you going to like kind of crunch the numbers?
So I'm a nerd, and I wear that on my sleeve with like a badge on my sleeve. I will read any and everything. I also sometimes just really like to do my own projections. So, and Stryker and I talk about this a lot too, where like I will, let's say we're doing a show on Friday. On Thursday night, I'll look at a board, and let's say the player props are not up yet. I'll go to Yankees are playing the Red Sox, and Garrett Cole's on the mound, and the last 3 times that he's faced the Red Sox lineup, he averages 9.2 strikeouts. Like, I'll crunch all those numbers for myself, and then I'll come up with, okay, if his strikeout total is over 8.5, that's a bet I'm going to give out on the show. I'll do that. So I'll go to Fangraph, I'll go to all the websites that everyone goes to, but I like to actually come up with my own numbers and really my sheets of notes, and most of it I type it now. I don't handwrite anything. It is like ultimate nerdiness, and I love it.
So there was a period of time where I was on top of and doing a lot of daily fantasy type of stuff. And I secretly, I know my way around Excel, right? So I was essentially building out my own projections as well. So it's actually funny that you mentioned this, because I was going to ask you, what are some specific things you tend to look at, maybe specific stats or specific trends that you don't think that other people who are doing this in the industry are looking at, that you kind of use for yourself and that you kind of think gives you an advantage? And what other things are you putting in there? Because it's like I said, when it comes to DFS stuff, you're putting a lot of stuff into projections, and you're pumping out a lot of different numbers out of those spreadsheets. So I was just curious about that.
All right, which sport do you want?
Well, could you do baseball?
Sure. All right.
Okay.
So with baseball, I tend to star chase, and that's one of the things we made a joke about on the show a lot last year. Stryker often went off the beaten path and went with some of the smaller names and found some value there. I will look at the stars first. So again, I'll look at an Aaron Judge, a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Last year, Marcus Semien was great. A Trey Turner, Tatis was obviously always a lot of fun. Coming to the year, I thought I was going to love me some Acuna Jr. Then he got hurt. So I'll do that. Then what I'll do is I'm a real big fan of just looking at the pitcher versus the batter matchups. I'm going to find, does this batter have good numbers against that pitcher? If the answer is yes, now I'm diving further in. Now I'm going to take a look. Let's go Trey Turner, for instance, because Trey Turner and Jose Altuve, apparently, at the end of the year, they crunched all of the numbers, and those were the 2 people that I gave the most bets out for. So we'll stick with that. So Trey Turner, who ended up with 77 RBIs, and that was one of the issues for him coming into this year. Good value on him for an MVP. Anyway, so what I'll do is I'm going to look at Trey Turner versus Mike Soroka. Let's just make that a matchup. How many times have they batted? Trey Turner is 4 for 12 against him. Not the greatest sample size. All right, now I know he can hit. Now let's see, what does he do against the Atlanta Braves? Here's his career numbers against the Braves. Cool. Put that on one side of the sheet. Have the Soroka stuff on one side of the sheet too. Now I'm looking at what has he done over the last 10 days. I have that on part of my sheet. Now I'm looking over the last 30 days, and then I'm looking at anything else in the, let's say, Braves bullpen, right? So let's say I don't think Soroka is going to go past 5 innings. That means Trey Turner is going to get 2 at-bats at least against the bullpen. Does he hit well against those insert bullpen guys? If I want to go even further with it, I have to look at the Atlanta Braves bullpen and see, has this guy pitched 3 days in a row? So Trey Turner hits great against insert name, but he's pitched 3 days in a row. He ain't going to pitch today. So I can't even put that into my projections. Those are some of the baseball things I put in there. I don't know if that was kind of what you were looking at.
No, that definitely was, because I used to do it for hockey a lot. So again, I was specifically talking about DFS stuff in general. So what a lot of people tend to do when you do DFS stuff is you tend to group players together, right? So, for basketball, it could be a set of teammates, maybe your backcourt. For hockey, usually you're basically putting a line together, right? For baseball, I think it's a little bit different, because I think a lot of stuff maybe from batter to batter, going through a lineup, maybe like a 2-hitter in the lineup's not necessarily correlated with like your 5 or 6-hitter when you're trying to balance out value in terms of getting the contracts and getting under like whatever salary cap there is. So again, that's DFS in particular. You're doing betting kind of on a more broad scale, and you're giving a lot of good bets out there. But it's a good nugget to know. Altuve and Turner.
Yeah, those are my guys last year. Altuve, Turner, and I guess I gave Vladdy out a lot last year too. I mean, listen, during the postseason, Stryker was on an absolute heater. I did well also as a duo. I think we were just postseason up like 60 units, I want to say. It was like, it was, if you were tailing us, you were doing well. You were happy.
Boy, do we have a podcast for you.
There you go, see?
Keith, I want to suggest something to you. Call your bosses, and I think this October, you should attempt to pull a Kenny Albert. So I want Friday, Bettor's Eye, Saturday, betting above the rim, Sunday, tops, Monday, NHL Tonight. All 4 big 4 days in a row. You think you could pull it off?
I think I could. So betting above the problem with the betting above the rim part is they usually don't start the show till after football season is over. We skip the beginning. But
maybe there's that 1 week in November with the World Series, perhaps.
I mean, there's also like I still do freelance work over at SiriusXM. Could I beg, borrow, and barter to get Basketball on NBA radio for 1 day? Okay.
That would be big time. I mean, because
I think you would need to do one of the shows at home, or at least 2 of them at home, to kind of.
I'll do.
You can't be going everywhere.
This is great. No, Friday we do Bettor's Eye from home. Saturday, maybe I do an NBA show. You're right. And then Sunday we do tops, and then either Sunday night we do NHL Tonight, or maybe we double on a Friday. Is NHL? Yeah, we could do double on a Friday. Do Bettor's Eye on Friday from the studios, and then do NHL Tonight right away.
Wow. Doing it all in 3 days. I mean, that would be historic. I know Joe would be really impressed.
That's really impressive.
Challenge accepted. I just got to figure out the basketball part of it, but I think I could make the other 3 happen. Yeah. What, tennis doesn't count? Maybe I'll get on the tennis channel or something. Come on.
Do as much as you can. Yeah.
Can't believe Ash Barty retired. I miss her already.
No doubt about it. And there's infinite options out there with all different types of sports. So go for the Guinness Book of World Record.
Yeah, I was going to say,
something
you do
that
the
Joe
big 4.
will be talking about for now on.
And then you do a 5th show, and then the 5th show you could do tennis, you could do golf, you could do soccer. You know what I mean? But something that's not the big 4 to count, as another major sport, so that you can get everything on one hand. That's not.
Is there like the CrossFit Games or something? I can do the play-by-play of that.
Maybe some lacrosse.
Oh, dude. At that time, I could do some youth sports then too. There's got to be lacrosse. Yeah, my kids will be playing lacrosse. I'll just break out the right. Can't we just do everything on a phone now? I'll just do like this and broadcast it. Perfect.
Absolutely.
Instagram Live.
So like you said, challenge accepted. So of course we got to talk about the challenge when we have you on here. So what have you thought about the All-Stars bringing some of the OGs back?
I'm enjoying it. And you sent me the article about the new one. They're going to come out with like heavy hitter All-Stars. I am all in. Do you know when that one's coming out? I don't know yet.
I would think it's got to be in the next month or 2, because from what I read, it was already filmed.
Right. And then even at the end of the last season, TJ was already giving the teaser. Oh my God. I'm so hey, so at the end of the last season, when Darrell loses, tell me if I'm wrong about this, but I didn't understand. There was still a run. They still had.
I don't know why they didn't run.
Right? Like why did he just stop? When Johnny and what's his name?
Should have ran. Darrell.
All of them. Like keep working the lock and then break it open and run. They just stopped. So unless there was some sort of rule, like once it opened, the jog was more of ceremonial, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. They just gave up, and then even the last regular season, it all came down to the lockbox. And that was it, memorizing the numbers.
Yeah. I want my guess. I'm starting to think about like who they could start bringing back to shows, because I kind of feel like Bananas might be done. He's doing all of his TV work now. and he's kind of going in a different direction. So I think he might be done.
Well, I want to see Landon come back.
Yeah, it's a good call. He was really good for a while. Never lost. Yep. Yeah.
And just for comedy purposes, I want to see our fellow Staten Islander Marie Rhoda on a All Stars.
Okay. That would work.
But now, what did you think about this new thing where they're having this international series and it's going to be on CBS? I mean, if you ask me, I don't think TJ is going to be able to do all these. You already work with CBS, so if they need a host for the CBS one,
I mean, listen, if they call me, I'd be down. I think it's cool. I think the more you branch out, there's obviously an avenue for it, right? Like, you look at all of these all these housewives of insert name of city. They're still doing those shows. Everyone still watch those shows. Big Brother, people still watch. All of the challenge shows. I think the ratings are still at least good enough that they keep making the shows. So yeah, the more the merrier. And I mean, to be honest, I will watch it. Yes, I will. Like I always tell myself, no, I'm not going to watch the new one, and then I watch it. I'm still watching Jersey Shore.
Me too. I mean, what a finale.
No. Hold on. I'm one episode behind.
I'm not giving you any spoilers. I'm just saying what a finale. What a great season.
Yep. One episode behind. My wife and I.
What did you think about earlier in this season? Dina's big prank, all timer.
Amazing. And I mean, like when they were like, oh my God, it's a dead body. Yo, somebody got bodied. Like all of that was fantastic. Speaking of, do you know that my 7-year-old son was on DJ Pauly D's Instagram?
Really? Wow.
Yeah. We just got my 7-year-old son, Alex, brand new gel, and we got him the gel, the Pauly D gel, because he started doing a faux hawk. And I just posted a picture, and Pauly D, like literally within a minute, reposted it on his Instagram. So my 7-year-old Alex is like this. Alex goes, does that mean I'm famous? I'm like, yes, you are.
Well, me and your son have something in common because I was also on DJ Pauly D's Instagram story. So once upon a time, Nick put me on the spot, and I did a really impression of DJ Pauly D when we had Arda on our show. And we used that as a social clip later on. And sure enough, the social clip eventually found its way to him. And he retweeted and then put that on his Instagram story. So
amazing.
And we have something in common. Your son and I were two famous people over here.
Yeah, and Nick and I are just hanging out. Thanks.
I was on it because I asked the question, but it was Joe's horrible impersonation that really caught. Really caught.
I could do something better if he would have given
me time to prepare. I think they should get somebody from Jersey Shore on the challenge. I think that would be huge. Probably Vinny would be the one that they put on.
Yeah, I mean, he's the single man, right? Like it would probably make sense for him. Yeah. Although Pauly D seems to be the best athlete. Like whenever they do anything athletic, he's the only one that kind of looks like he's an athlete. He probably played, high school sports or whatever. Although, I mean, obviously Jenny's 21, whatever, wrestler, 24, whatever. Yeah, he's a wrestler, right?
We got to get Ronnie back. And if Ronnie doesn't come back next season, which looks like he's not, got to bring Sammy back.
I don't think Sammy's ever coming back. I think that
there. Maybe.
I think that ship has sailed.
Still love the show. Do you watch any other reality shows that you check out?
Jersey Shore, The Challenge. Do I watch any other reality shows?
Joe's a Big Brother guy.
No.
Big Brother.
Any Housewives with your wife?
No. So my wife watches many of them, and No, I cannot. I'm sorry. Like, how do I do this and not get in trouble? I'm just going to say I like the brain cells I have in my head and don't want to lose them to some of those shows.
If you watch New Jersey, you could see Tiki Barber every Tuesday because he's in the show.
I know.
What do you think?
And I know the people on the show because my wife watches it so often. And I think for what we all do, like you kind of have to have a clue as to what's going on with that stuff. But no, I did watch like Rock of Love. I used to watch that show.
Double Shot of Love, Rock of Love, all that good stuff. What do you think? Should they try to do a reboot of The Real World? Or do you think
would it work anymore? I don't know if it would work anymore.
I haven't checked it out, but have you checked out any of the Real World Homecomings on Paramount Plus?
No,
Is there
I
any
haven't.
particular season of the real world you'd like to see a homecoming season of?
Paris, right? CT,
CT.
Adam.
I would go with
Right.
Austin for Danny, Melinda, Wes,
Yeah.
Nehemiah.
That's a good one.
Pretty
You're right. That is a
explosive.
really good one.
Yeah.
What was Brad on? Brad was on San Diego?
San Diego, yeah.
That was a good season, I think I remember.
At minimum, they should do Challenge All-Stars, Battle of the Seasons. That would be quite the
I would like that. I could rock with that. But now the problem becomes, as close as you may or may not have been with the people in your season then, you now have best friends that you've been doing these challenges with. I mean, the lines would be blurred. Like even Nehemiah and Melinda this year. Like the fact that she got into the palace, right, with them, save the palace. That was, like she was the only one to get into that group. It was well done. Nehemiah, I think he played a very strategic, intelligent game. Derek needs to stop going after, I think he needs to figure out his game again, because he has not been playing the political game well at all the last couple of times he's been on the show.
No, he's been too on the attack too early. I think he's got to sit back and chill.
Play the game like CT plays it. Uncle CT. Everyone loves him.
Seems like CT might be taking a break, but we'll see what happens.
I don't like that. I want him to be in this till he's 60.
We need to always have at least one of those original guys as the vets in the real show. Otherwise, it's going to get messy with Fessy and all those guys, the new guys. So we'll see.
I like Fessy. I think the Fessy Josh thing got a little blown out of proportion. I do not think that I would have kicked Fessy off the show. I wonder if there was more to it than just the mush that he gave him, because that didn't seem to me the kick-offable offense to me. I don't know. I would have kept Fessy on.
How do you think Joe would do on the challenge, just purely on his social game?
Oh, the social game, he would dominate that. I don't know what kind of athlete you are, Joe, but the social game, I think you would dominate.
So. Athletic.
Are you afraid of things?
I'm more of a sprint runner than a marathon runner, put it that way.
All right, that could work. Are you afraid of heights?
I used to be, not anymore.
Can you swim?
Can you swim?
I can swim.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So heights and swimming, and you seem like a pretty intelligent person. How are you with puzzles?
Good.
So that's important. So I think he'd be good. I used to joke with my wife. I'm like, I would love to do this show with her, right? Because she is a good athlete. I wouldn't say great athlete, but good, solid. She's coordinated. She can play all the sports with my boys and stuff like that. I'm not the tallest guy. I'm only 5'10", but I'm a very good athlete. I've always been very good at everything that I've played, and I'm smart. So I felt like if we put all of that together, I thought we could have dominated the game, my wife and I. Put us on. What's what's the one that you travel around the world?
Amazing Race.
Boom. Get us on Amazing Race.
You would be the second guest, or actually technically the third, that we've had on this show who would later appear on the Amazing Race.
Who do you have on Amazing Race?
Lulu and Lala from KTU.
Okay.
So you would be presumably the third, not the second. But
so the problem with Amazing Race, though, is how long? You probably have to be away from your family for a long time, right?
Yeah, probably 2 months. I would think it's too long.
Yeah, I can't do that. I'm way past all that stuff. Yeah. All right. I'll just continue, hosting national television.
Well, maybe one day they'll do some sort of challenge type of show at Secaucus. Get some competitions going.
We've joked about having. There was a joke before the pandemic, and it never came to fruition because obviously the world shut down and we weren't all in the studios, about having the hockey contingency, the hockey former athletes, the baseball former athletes, and then just the hosts. Everyone's on a certain team, and there would be certain events that they had to do. Harold Reynolds was actually joking around about it with, I think it was me, and it might have been Jameson. Was it Jameson? No, it might have been Tony Luffman at the time, whoever it was.
Tony,
joking around about. Yeah, you're right, Tony.
You'd be the top pick, I think, in the office.
Scott Braun's in really good shape.
I don't know.
Scott Braun is in really good.
Scott is in good shape, but I think you got the stamina, the cardio, the CrossFit. Keith's my first pick in the draft, and I know Joe's doing a lot of auction drafts right now for his baseball team.
I do appreciate that. Scott Braun of the host. Scott Braun's in great shape, and don't sleep on LG. Was a high school softball that she was a star apparently.
Oh, we know.
Yeah,
yes,
she'll let you know.
He's very versatile, that one.
Yeah,
good stuff. Well, Keith, we really appreciate it. I just wanted to ask you before you go, because it is the name of the show. What in your career would you say is your I'm right moment? So what we mean by that is a time where you wanted to do something, you asked somebody for advice, and they say, yeah, Keith, I don't think you should do that. And then you said, you know what? I'm going to do this. And ultimately, you will see why it is that I'm right.
Wow. I love that. So I'm going to take you back to 2003.
Wow.
I'm working as a statistician on local programming games. All the while on the side, I'm doing some on-air work for, it was ABC Sports Radio at the time. I was doing metro traffic and weather. There was the know before you go. And then I was just doing like local fill-in work at places, right? But I was getting on the air. And I was 22 years old, whatever, right? And I spoke to a very prominent producer-director who was doing MSG games at the time. And he said to me, he goes, Keith, I think you're really talented. You need to move. And I go, but why? And he said, because you're never going to be able to just make it in New York. You need to go to he's like, I'm not telling you need to go to Idaho, but you may have to go to North Carolina. You may have to go to, even if it was, like Texas, which is smaller than New York, but still kind of large. I'm like, I disagree with you. He goes, I'm telling you, you're wrong. I'm like, all right, right? 3 years later, I was filling in on MSG. I was the lead play-by-play announcer for Cablevision local programming, and I had started doing News 12, Bronx, New Jersey, and a little bit of Long Island every once in a while. I ran into this producer director, and he actually put his hand on my shoulder and said, I got to tell you, you were right. You never had to leave, huh? And I'm like, it worked. It did. And listen, I still had to wait a few more years before I got national work. I mean, really, if it's all started in 2003, my first real national work was like 2013. So it was 10 years of doing local stuff, but I stayed in New York, never moved, met my wife here, had my children here, my family is still here, and I've managed to stay here. So shout out to that producer. He knows who he is, and we still talk every once in a while. Great guy. And I love the fact that he was able to say, like, Keith, you were right.
Love that answer. Absolutely love that answer. That might have been the best I'm right answer we've had so far since we started asking that question. And we've only started asking it, I think, the last, 20 to 30 episodes or so. So, Keith, thank you for joining us again and again. You are now a two-time guest, and it's a really, really great list of names who have been on here twice. So hopefully we could have you on again soon. Hopefully we could have some of your colleagues on again soon. But you know how this works. We always give the guest the last word. So anything else you would like to share, promote? Obviously, you got a couple of shows going on, but, go ahead. And we wish you the best of luck this upcoming season. And again, your family is beautiful, tremendous family. So, we wish them all the best as well.
Thank you. Austin has his AAU championship tonight. We are going against the only team that beat us this year. We went 8 for 24 from the free throw line in that game, had too many turnovers, still only lost by 6 points. If I was setting the line, because I'm, a betting host, I would say that we are a 1.5 point favorite tonight. One caveat, we are missing our 5'7" center. He sprained his ankle playing soccer. Oh, the kid he's a beast. So that will hurt us a little bit, but we have our 9-year-old. It's a 5th grade team, and we have a 4th grader on our team. He's like 5'3", supreme athlete. This kid, CJ, is going to probably be in the NBA someday. And he missed that first game. So he'll be there tonight. I think we get it done. And if that happens, I'm happy for my son, Austin. He gets a championship on Sunday with his buddies, gets a championship tonight, hopefully in AAU. So I leave you with that. I also will shout out my My younger son too, who just got added to the travel soccer team. He's only 7 years old. He's playing with 8 and 9-year-olds. So you mentioned my family. I'm going to give all the love. Let them be the final word. So shout out to Austin and Alex. You guys are rock stars, and I'm just here to try to help you guys reach your goals and achieve all your dreams.
We love it, Keith. We love it. We appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time. So that's going to do it here for this episode of You Know I'm Right, for our very special guest, Keith, my co-host.